friends, and welcome to my vlog channel. My name is Allysia, and today I thought that I would sit down and do another baby update video. I believe the last one I did, Jane was about 7 months old. Now she's about 9.5 months old. A lot has changed since then, as is wont to happen when about 3 months go by with a baby, because it's overall like a very big chunk of their life. So yeah, I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about the changes, the things I've noticed, and my point of doing these videos is to, I don't know, like have a window into my life. We can get to know each other a little bit better, be friends. But also, if you are in the trenches with me, you have a baby, it's kind of fun. At least for me, I really enjoy watching other people's videos like this too, because it just makes me feel a sense of camaraderie. And it also hopefully gives those of you who don't have kids, but maybe you're interested, to know what life is like with a child. I only have the one baby too, so I mean, it's not some of the vloggers and stuff I like to watch have multiple children and their lives are much, much different. But starting into a long introduction, I just wanted to, I don't know, give a little explanation, I guess. The biggest thing, oh, and by the way, Jane is grocery shopping with her dad right now, so I just thought I'd sit down and talk to you guys one-on-one. I have my tea. But yeah, I'm nicely alone. I'm actually in my piano studio right now. I don't know if you can tell because there's just a bunch of books and my corkboard behind me, but I just finished recording some of my piano videos that I was already in front of the camera, so I was like, you know what, I got half a tea left, let's sit down and chat about babies. So the biggest thing that has happened in the last little bit since I recorded is that she has started babbling. And in the last video, I was all like, oh no, she hasn't started babbling yet, my baby's behind, which is totally foolish. As soon as she started babbling, I was like, facepalm, why am I doing that? Why am I falling into that parent trap, not associated with the movie, where you just compare your baby to all the other babies, and if they're not meeting milestones in like a very specific way, like all the books and all of the other people say that they're supposed to do, then it's like all of a sudden a huge problem and what's wrong with my child, when nothing was wrong with my child and she's developing normally. She wasn't even late with babbling. Like it's not like a year went by and she hadn't started babbling yet. It was just like she was 1 month slower than a couple of the other babies that I know and what the books were saying. So I don't know why I got all bent out of shape. I don't even know if you noticed that I was bent out of shape in the last video, because it's not like I was freaking out, but I think I made like some little passing comments about like, oh, she hasn't started babbling yet. But anyways, that is no longer a concern. And that is a decent segue into one of the things I wanted to talk about in today's video, is I'm just trying to chill as a parent. And I'm a pretty, well, I don't know if my husband would agree, but I would like to think that I'm a pretty chill person overall. I don't get really wound up about what other people think, what other people, like I don't do a lot of that comparing and stuff. At least I thought I didn't. But it's so easy to get sucked into that, even when you think you're not that kind of person, when you think you're vigilant. And I wasn't even like consciously aware of the fact that I was comparing my child's development and just all those little things. So another thing that we as parents tend to get really hung up on, there's lots of stuff, like feeding is a huge one, sleep is a huge one, and it's hard not to feel like if you're not doing everything by the books, it's hard not to feel like a bad parent, or like you just don't want to, like, you hear other people talking about something like sleep and you're like, I'm just gonna sit over here and keep my mouth shut and then no one will chastise me for what I'm doing. Anyway, the point is, people have a whole lot of opinions, and that's fine. I'm starting to learn how to calm down and not care about it as much. One big thing that I've done in the last month or two that's made a pretty big difference is I've gone off of Reddit and social media mom stuff largely. I have a few YouTube channels that I really enjoy that I'm subscribed to. One of them is Fleur de Forest. She's not a parent vlogger, although she does vlog about parenting sometimes, but she's more of like a lifestyle makeup person, and it just so happened that she had a baby around the same time as me. Her baby's 1 month older, so it's been really fun to watch her, so I find her to be a positive influence. There's a few others too that I just really enjoy following. But what I was finding in the early stages of having a baby, being on Reddit with a group of other moms was really helpful, because it just, I had no idea what I was doing, and things were hard, and it's nice to know when other people are struggling because you feel like you're not alone. And I know why those groups exist. It's so we don't feel alone, so we have people to talk to and turn to when things are really difficult. But what I find tends to happen in forums like that, and this can happen in Facebook groups and stuff like that too, is you hear a lot of the negativity. So this is like the complaining, the bad review syndrome, where people are more likely to give a bad review than a good one because they feel more emotionally charged about it. You can go out and have a nice dinner. You're not going to be like, well, better go to Yelp. You go out and have a really bad dinner. You're furious and you want to do something about it. So you write an angry 1-star Yelp, worst service ever, whatever. And I feel like people are like that with parenting and probably other things too, where I was reading these forums and day after day it was kind of like this bad thing happened and this bad thing happened and then like this and this, and it's just, there's a lot of negativity, and those parents need help with their problems, and that's totally fine. But I found just immersing myself in that was making me feel like just a grouchy parent. People are complaining about their partners, complaining about like never having any time because their baby is like all the things that happen when you have a baby that people are complaining about. And it was making me look at my own life in a little bit of a more negative lens because of it. Just from like sheer exposure to other people's black clouds of doom. And once I got away from that, the sun started shining again, and I realized like, okay, things really like aren't so bad, and if I just look at things with a different lens, the same experience can be negative or positive. It's my own mental state that determines that. And just getting away from the people who are black clouding life up made a big difference. And another thing that's really helped me too is, and I've been going to moms groups for a while now, not just the last couple months, but I find that being and connecting with a group of very like positive women makes all the difference. It just makes me feel so much more grateful and chill on a day-to-day basis, especially if you're hanging out with people who aren't super competitive and I don't know, who you just feel like you're constantly comparing your own baby to. They're lovely groups of women. I really, really enjoy them. So that's my rant. I'm gonna get down off my soapbox now. But in all seriousness, that's one of the big things that I've started to realize. And I'm not perfect about it, but just getting away from social media, just not Googling every little thing too, like, when is my baby supposed to start babbling? Stopping with that just makes me feel so much more at ease on a day-to-day basis. My baby's perfectly fine. She'll be fine. Part of this is also inspired by, I'm reading a book right now called something like Selfish Reasons to Have More Kids. And one of the, don't read into that too much yet, guys. But the author argues in favor of a less is more approach. He doesn't advocate neglect, but he does say that as parents, we tend to like be way more involved than we probably need to be, and how kids tend to turn out just fine if you're a good, decent person who is like reasonably involved in your children's life, but not like taking them to a million activities and all those things. You can just do things that make you happy, and you'll probably be a better parent for it. And just reading stuff like that makes me feel more chill. So this has turned into a video about my own development and not my daughter's development. So another thing that's going on with Jane right now is that she's crawling around full speed. She's pulling up on everything constantly, and those are pretty much her favorite things to do. Before I was a parent of an active moving around baby, when she was just basically a lump who sat there, I really dreaded when she would start crawling. I thought it would be the worst thing ever, and I'd have to be like on high alert all the time. And I do have to be on high alert all the time, but you always have to be on high alert when you have a baby. When they're sitting there like a lump or not. But it's actually been a really nice transition, and it's a lot less difficult than I thought it would be. This is one of like my misconceptions I had about having a baby. Now that she moves and she can kind of do things herself a little bit more, I feel like, I don't, maybe I'm imagining it. Maybe I'm a happier parent and I'm projecting, but I think she's a happier baby as a result. She's really clingy and needy to me at sometimes, especially if she's tired. And she'll often like go do her thing, and then 5 minutes later remember I exist and then start whining, and like she's recently started doing like ma 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 ma. It's like in her whining voice, and I'm wondering if she's on the brink of understanding that mama has like a meaning beyond just babbling. And again, I could just be like projecting my own thing into it. But when I was out of the house for a few hours yesterday, Michael made a comment that she was like, she seemed to be looking around the house for me going ma 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 ma. So maybe something is connecting there, and either way it's simultaneously super sweet and really annoying. The clinginess comes and goes. It just depends on the day. Like, I don't know. We all have moods, and some days we're happier than other days, and some days she's a happier baby than other days. Some days she's like totally fine with hanging out with other people, and she like barely even cares about me, I guess. But for the most part, she likes having me around. She's a mama's girl. But yeah, having an active baby is totally no big deal, as I was saying, because now that she's moving, she's a little bit happier, and I find that I don't have to worry about like, and this is something I never had to worry about. This is where I was going at before, which is like worrying about everything that I totally was unnecessary to worry about. But like the idea that we have to constantly entertain our children, and she's just so entertained by moving around and pulling up on things and taking things. Her favorite game right now is basically just taking things out of things. So we have a little toy box. She takes everything out, she makes a huge mess. We have a little tower, she throws it down. So all I'm doing is like putting things back away and rebuilding towers for her to destroy, and that's like our that's like our home life. I try to get out of the house, especially now that it's November in Saskatchewan, which means it's cold. We can't really go out on our stroller walks anymore unless it's like closer to 0 degrees, but lately it's been like below 0, and I don't want to be outside in that weather, and I don't think she does. She'd probably be fine if I bundled her up, but I'm trying to make sure that we have activities to do so she's not just like sitting at home all day long. And I don't know, maybe that's even more for my own mental health. If I'm sitting at home all day long, I start to get a little stir crazy. So I shouldn't say that I'm like taking Jane out on these adventures for her own sake, because yeah, it's for mine, but she gets the secondhand benefit of being able to hang out with other babies and other people and stuff like that. Not that she really understands that she's hanging out with other babies, I don't think. Whenever I take her to like play groups and stuff like that, she basically just tries to like grab other babies' faces and has no sense of gentleness. And well, like I've seen her try to pull up and like stand up by like pushing another baby down. It's like, no, you probably shouldn't be doing that. So I mean, babies just don't have a sense of each other, right? At least a sense of like being able to play together. I don't really understand all the cognitive development stuff, but it is kind of fun to observe anyway. As a side note, when you have an active crawling baby, the snack that I really love, I'm probably gonna have to start having less, and that snack is popcorn. And even if you're super careful when you're popping popcorn, sometimes those kernels fall on the floor, and then in the morning when you wake up and you're making your coffee, you find that your baby's picking something up off the floor and it's a popcorn kernel, and it's a huge choking hazard, and then you feel like the worst parent ever, but at least you were paying attention, so you intervene and the popcorn kernel doesn't go in their mouth and everything is good, but you still kind of have a little bit of a mini heart attack. So maybe easing up on the popcorn as a snack is a good idea for now. She sees like the tiniest things. She'll find crumbs of things and just, I feel like I'm always sweeping the floor because I'm just so nervous about her grabbing some hardened piece of food off the kitchen floor that I just haven't noticed. It's gonna happen at some point, I'm sure of it. She's like a hawk. Oh, that's another thing that I wanted to talk about briefly before getting her on here, is sleep. And I can't believe we forgot to talk about it because it's such a hot topic. But I didn't want to talk about anything crazy today. I just wanted to talk about naps. All up until this point, probably since she was about 6 months old, she's been having 2 naps a day. She's been having a morning nap and then an afternoon nap. And we were following the 2-3-4 pattern roughly. Basically what that means is that the baby is awake for 2 hours, then naps, then is awake for 3 hours, then naps, and then is awake for 4 hours until bedtime. But that started evolving in the last month or so, I've noticed. And even in the last week, she isn't ready to go back down after 2 hours anymore. So what's happened a couple times this week, she's only had 1 nap. And what they say in books is that babies tend to shift to one nap a day when they're 12 months to 18 months old. And I don't know that she's starting to get there, but she's usually not ready to go down after the first wake up until at least she's been up for 3 hours. So what's ending up happening is she's having this like big nap, usually in the afternoon, but it's happening a little bit later because she's having her first nap later, and then she's staying up later, which makes everything all screwy. So we're in this kind of weird transitional time with naps where I think things are really starting to shift. And that's another thing too, is she's sleeping about 12 hours at night, not straight through. She has like one good wake up in there usually for 10 minutes or so to eat. But for the most part, if we put her down at 8, she's going to be up in earnest between 7 and 8 usually. And that's another sign, I think, that she's starting to go towards one nap a day, which is interesting. And she usually goes for 5 to 6 hours at night now before bedtime and is fine. So I don't know that seems like it's happening earlier, but maybe in the next time I do an update, I'll probably do the next update when she's closer to a year old. By that time, I'm pretty convinced she'll be down to just one nap a day. And I don't know, like I loved that morning nap when she would wake up at 7 and I'd put her down at 9 for a little bit. And then it was like this nice quiet opportunity. I love the mornings. It's just the time to have a coffee, read a book, maybe work, but usually not, usually reading a book. But now that she's not having that time anymore, I'm a little bit sad. So hopefully we fall into some type of rhythm that still gives me my mental break. So this is Jane. She's 9.5 months old. Say hi. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna wrap up this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it was very hard to keep a straight face and talk about this while my husband is like doing some weird clawed. Yeah, thank you for watching my ranting. Hopefully you found this helpful or just maybe like moderately entertaining. And I will catch you guys in the next video.